Hey sis! From coast to coast, we're bridging the gap between the cisgender and transgender community, creating meaningful dialogue and space to learn and grow.
Join us as we connect with our community, break down tough conversations, and get comfortable being better humans.
The Hey Sis podcast is proudly brought to you by TD Bank Group.
Quay Isaac.
Quay Sin, and welcome to Hey Sis. We are the hosts of the Hey Sis podcast.
And fall is in the air. October is upon us, and it is Mi'kmaq Heritage Month. And we are celebrating this episode, connecting with a member of a local Two-Spirit community, Kassidy Bernard. And we're really excited to have Kassidy on the show with us today, who is going to share a little bit about what being Two-Spirit means to them.
I'm Kassidy Bernard, an Ulnu and Scottish Two-Spirit youth from Waigahoma. I grew up in Unama'ki, one of the 7 ancestral districts of Mi'kmaq. In my 25 years of life, I've grown and made connections within my Ulnu Two-Spirit and creative communities. I continue to unlearn colonial standards to make room for my Ulnu worldview, which prioritizes humor, rest, and community care. This is reflected in my relationships, creations in design, illustration, and podcasting, and in my continued learning in body literacy, birthwork, foraging, and whatever else my neurodivergent mind desires. Now, in addition to being a co-owner of Buttawogan Illustration and Design with my older sister, Kaylin, I hold an elected role as an Indigenous rep for CFS-NS. After 6 years living in Kjipuktuk and attending NSCAD University, I moved back home. It was in Kjipuktuk that I blossomed thanks to the supportive community of friends that I formed around me. And now I live happily at the foot of Apitusa, the mountain that looks over the lake in Waigahoma. So, how's everyone?
Good. But thank you for coming on. I know it's been a busy month for everyone, so we appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, I got really excited when I found out you were doing this. Because my sister Jordan, she was like, "Hey, call me." I was like, "Oh God, what? What is it?" Call me. I was like, "Okay." And she's like, "Yeah, there's like this podcast that reached out like through my work, but like I don't identify as Two-Spirits. I figured you might be interested." And she's like, "I know you have a podcast," and I was like, "Yeah." I thought you were like, for some reason I thought she was in trouble. I was like, "Oh my God."
It's wild how connections happen, isn't it? And we were just talking, and I said, "Oh, we want to do something around this," and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I know somebody." So, yeah. It's good. I'm wondering the pronunciation of like on your website, it says to make room for your, I think it's new worldview.
Oh,
but
Ulnu.
Yeah. What is it?
It's like ul, So you don't say L or anything. It's like the tongue, like Ulnu.
Ulnu.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great.
I appreciate it because some people just kind of haphazard it, like, "Oh, I'll just go at it," and it's great, but then they never like want to correct themselves.
Yes, I'm excited for this episode because I'm going to be learning lots because I have a background in linguistics and I love the Mi'kmaq language, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm happy to share anything. I actually just got into a mentor apprentice program, so I'm going to be learning from an elder for the next 8 months.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, we got to do like 400 hours though. So
wow, okay. That's very daunting.
Yeah, but it's with my my partner's grandmother, so like she's really cool. Like she's got like a lot of similar interests as me. I want to learn more about plant medicines, so she's going to be teaching me about that and like gardening, and it's really exciting. So yeah, I can share whatever is relevant today, what I know, and like even backgrounds behind words. So I'd be happy to share.
Super awesome. And just to ask too on that, so is it kind of more around that kind of like cultural sharing aspect, or is it like a focus on like language, or just like everything all between?
Everything and all between. I mean, like, yeah, because so this is like a language program, so they want us to try to become like as fluent as possible. So I think they do it every year, and there's like an application process, and I think they picked about 15 pairs this year. So we just found out like last week that we got in or not, and it's very intense.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It's really nice to have.
That's really interesting. I love that because yeah, I've been trying to find as many initiatives like locally. So I'm here in kind of the Truro Millbrook area, and I know there's a couple initiatives coming out to help support kind of the revival of the Mi'kmaq language. So that's really awesome to hear.
Yeah, so it's through MK. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but it's Mi'kmaq and Amanoi. So they do like our education um, for the most part, but they have a lot of programs and departments and do all fun stuff. Like they even cover a lot of funding for our annual Mi'kmaq Summer Games. So like they're kind of like all over the place.
That's
Yeah.
awesome though. Yeah. Sweet. More
I'm gonna,
information for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a note here too, outside of the language mentorship, when you mentioned the plant medicine and that being an interest, do you know a lot about that? Because that could be really fun to talk to you about that maybe in the springtime.
Yeah, it really is. Like me and my sister, Kaylin, especially, have been like going and foraging a lot too in the past few years since I've been home. So yeah, I'd be happy to come back on and talk about it. And like we just went on a plant walk as well at the Two Spirit gathering this past weekend. So like that was really nice.
Oh,
So
love that.
yeah, it's a big
Okay.
theme in my life, and yeah, I'd like to integrate it into stuff. So
Yeah. And with fall
Awesome.
coming around, you're getting so many new mushrooms and stuff like that coming out. So that's really exciting.
I know, I'm a big mushroom fan.
Are you? Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a part of all like the fungi like Facebook groups and stuff. And
You're a
I
fun guy.
I don't know much about it, but I like love learning. So
Kassidy, you use they, them, and Nekem. Am I pronouncing that right?
No,
Nekem? No, Nekem?
Negum. Negum.
Negum.
Negum.
Negum pronouns, which
Mhm.
is really new to me and probably a lot of our listeners as well. So
Mhm.
perhaps for our listeners who are familiarizing themselves with gender neutral pronouns, can you tell us a little bit more about the pronoun?
Yeah, so Negum is actually a Mi'kmaq word. So our language, it's not really necessarily gendered at all. I know like translations we've kind of gendered it, but it's more like inanimate and animate, and that's like the differences in our language. But Negum is kind of the only pronoun that we use. So it's genderless. It's just kind of like, oh, them over there, like Negum. And it can be used for different things, like not just people. Yeah.
it's
I
really interesting.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
love that. I have to say it like 3 times, I think, like Negem to make sure I get it
Nagam.
right. Negem.
Yeah.
But
Negum.
Isaac, you know a lot about, a lot of other cultures that also use just only gender neutral pronouns. They don't have gendered pronouns at all.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really interesting too looking at it on like a kind of linguistic lens. Because it's to your point exactly there, Cassidy, a lot of indigenous language kind of focus on the inanimate and animate object. And then there's like French where gender is absolutely everywhere. There's no escaping. So do you know any of kind of like the linguistic history of Negum, or like I understand it's Mi'kmaq, but was there any kind of like flows to it to maybe other indigenous languages across Canada? Do you know any of that or?
No, I don't know the connections to other linguistic like connections like other nations, but I mean, we it's actually funny because we share a lot of similarities with Anishinaabe-Moan. There's actually a lot of stories that a lot of our cultural carriers took our language and teachings and ceremonies to the nation when we were first like there was first contact. We knew like that would have to happen. So they carry a lot of our teachings and words and things that overlap. So there might be connections there, but the other nations in our Wabanaki Confederacy, like there's a lot of overlap as well. Like either the same way of saying something or like just really close. So yeah, this weekend I was talking to a friend I made who's from this Wolastoq nation, so they have a lot of overlap with us, and like we would say a word and be like, okay, what's yours, like what's yours for this, and we were sharing that back and forth, and it was funny because like I was like, okay, what's one of your favorite words in your language, and they were like, it was the translation for like bum. And like I was talking about it because I was like, we just one of the really cool things we just did recently was it was like a language class, but it was centered on like insults in Mi'kmaq.
Oh, I love
So we're
that.
like practicing insulting each other, and so that's why it came up, because like one of the insults is like calling each other a bum, and
I love that. We all love bum jokes, don't we? It's funny.
Yeah.
We had a friend come over from Ireland that was visiting my daughter years ago. We went down to Mahone Bay, and in Gaelic, Pogue Mahone means kiss my backside, I guess. And so they saw the sign from Mahone Bay and thought, geez, that's like pretty hilarious. And they couldn't stop laughing. And now every time I go into Mahone Bay, I think, oh, kiss my ass.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, pardon my French, but yeah.
So I guess back to your question about Nekem, like a lot of our words, they're based on like how many people you're referring to. So with Nekem, like it starts with an N. A lot of N like prefixes are for like one person. But there's also like the word Gil, which is like just saying you, like Gil. So there's just like different suffixes and prefixes for how many people. Like for example, Walalin, like thank you, it's for one person to one person. So like it can change if there's like saying Walalia is like thank you from a couple of us, so like it changes. Walalioch is thank you all, right? So there's like those kinds of things. So Nekem is like that too. You can see like things starting with N or NU or NA, and that's usually like for like one person. Or
Yeah. So interesting. I'm just like in my head, like as you're saying them, I should mention, like I have a degree in linguistics, so I'm a little too intense with linguistics sometimes, but like the syntax of Mi'kmaq is so interesting because it's like, sorry, I'm just sitting here like thinking in my head. And for Nekem, is it kind of accepted all across Mi'kmaq, or are there any certain regions or spots that maybe they're like don't like that, they use something else? Like what's kind of, I'm just trying to maybe put the comparison to maybe like they them pronouns or kind of more gender neutral pronouns. Is there any kind of stigmatization within that?
No, because like it's just kind of what we all use, because it's not even, some people don't really get it either when it's being used as like a pronoun when it's like mixed with English. Like we call it Miglish.
I love that.
Yeah, but no, it's like even all the way to like Listugush, like they have a different spelling for theirs, but it's just Negm, so it's still Nekem.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you couldn't tell somebody's identity then if they're identified as two-spirit by the pronouns being maybe an indicator or a clue. Maybe you could talk a little bit about, so with two-spirit, it's a North American term to describe an indigenous identity and or sexual orientation, but it holds very different meanings across different geographical regions and also on an individual personal level. So Kassidy, I'm just wondering, perhaps you could share first what two-spirit means to you.
Okay, well, this is deep because I've been processing this for a few years now. I actually only recently started using the term because, sexuality, I started to figure out earlier than gender, and I started to question my gender because of meeting other non-binary people. I remember the moment when I realized it was a thing. Like I remember like being introduced to the term non-binary and like, and then shortly after Two Spirit, because I was in like these amazing groups of friends, and like I was going to different conferences where there was actually like a really amazing workshop called I think it was like Decolonizing Gender and Sexuality, and that was being done by Trina James, and it was just, I was like, whoa, like why didn't I ever learn this? And I got chills, and I was like really connecting with it, and I was like, Two Spirit, and I had to sit on it for another year. I was like, Two Spirit, that's like more than just gender. Like I know a lot of people consider it like a community role, like a responsibility in a way. It's very spiritually connected, so it's like more than just inside of me. But I mean, the way I connected with it, I kind of use it as an umbrella term because there's not really a good term, like a specific term that can describe what I feel my gender is, right? And so for two-spiritedness, I think it's like, it's really nice because the way I use it is like connecting with the community and the people that would understand me best. And for me, it means like, outside of colonized gender binaries, right? And like just thinking about more that spiritual connection. So really, I like look inside of myself. I'm like, when I got really honest with myself, I was like, you know what? Like, I don't think I have any gender in there. And it's just me, like me as like a person, like my spirit. I just recognize that life force, that energy for me. So like that's where I come from with two-spiritedness. And it also connects to like my community responsibilities. So it's really cool because I actually got my spirit name back in I think it was like 2012 or 2014. I was named by Frank and Josie Augustine during a naming ceremony, and they gave me the name Omkwan, which is rainbow in our language. And the teachings that came with it, like I still carry them with me, and I don't really have a great memory, so like I'm really glad I still have that. But basically, it means like that I'm a healer, so I've taken that on like as a responsibility, and I try to find ways to incorporate healing in different things that I do. And I found out like later, learning about like two-spirit people in their community role in a lot of nations was healers. And I was like, hey,
There you
I
go.
was like, hey, that's really affirming. And I was like, okay, now it's making sense why I'm resonating so much with this as both an identity and like a community role. And I mean, another thing for me is like, I get a lot of gender euphoria or lack of gender euphoria from like rebelling against like gender norms. So like ever since I was a kid, if people were like, oh, like can some strong boys help lift these chairs, I'll be like, okay.
I'm going right on up. Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. And it's like, even now it's like I still like questioning stuff. I even like the distinction between feminine and masculine. Like I don't see the difference in my mind, right? Like I'm like, what makes that masculine? What makes that feminine? Like, and it's like, what if someone who was considered a man like does that make it masculine? So it's like I'm always questioning these things either in my head or out loud, but that's kind of how I connect with it. It's like two-spirit just recognizes like those questioning and the contraries, right? Like someone did a great job of talking about like their contrarian spirit, and I was like, yeah, I think that's also me. Like it's like I want to go against that grain, right? So I mean, that's all my thoughts, like all scattered thoughts all around, but yeah.
No, it's definitely a very personal and can be a very difficult question to ask. I know, like, even if someone were to ask me, like as a trans person myself, like what does trans mean to you? I would have no freaking idea how to respond to that. So I think you said it beautifully. Like it's a very personal experience, and I really love that there were so many overlaps between you kind of coming to the realization that you were two-spirit, and then with the naming ceremony, and there were just like so many kind of coincidences that you were like, of the world chose it for you. And that's really amazing. And just out of curiosity, because you mentioned that you went on was it a two-spirit retreat, you said?
Yeah, it's an annual two-spirit gathering.
Yeah. And what is the two-spirit community like here in Mi'kmaq?
You know what? That's the first time I ever gathered with just two-spirit people. So I'd say scattered. Like I've come across other two-spirit people just by chance. So I mean, we're around, we're spread out, and I mean, I feel like we have what do you call it? It's not like it's like a strong presence, but like we connect really well with each other when we find each other in spaces. We're like,
you can sense it.
Yeah. So like, I think it's pretty strong, but I'd say disconnected for the most part, because like we're like, especially us on like the reses, like we were talking about how it feels sometimes like we're alone like in our own communities. And so I mean the gathering really made that apparent. We're like, wow, this feels so different. Yeah.
Hey Sis is all about connecting communities, and thanks to support from TD Bank Group, here is this episode's Connected Community Moment.
October is Mi'kmaq History Month, and when we are thinking about truth and reconciliation and being intentional about inclusion, we encourage you to take some time to think about the word unceded. Where are you living in Turtle Island or somewhere else in the world? Do you live on unceded land? And what does the word unceded actually mean?
When we think deeply about the meaning behind the words, we can then begin to understand the significance and the purpose of them. Two-Spirit Indigenous communities exist across this country and beyond. And today we shared a glimpse of what being Two-Spirit means to Kassidy Bernard. We challenge you this month to explore what Two-Spirit may mean to a culture within your own community and think about the word unceded as it crosses the intersections of identity and marginalized communities.
If you'd like to share your thoughts with us, you can email us at connect@heysis.com. Link is also in the show notes. We look forward to hearing from you. This has been a Hey Sis and TD Bank Group Connected Communities moment, because inclusion matters.
So I'm just going to ask, sort of from my own cis perspective and curiosity, when you hear the trans community and then this Two-Spirit community being kind of related, here, in sort of white culture, people would say, oh, well, it's like Two-Spirit is very similar to trans, but it's within, that's really not correct then at all, is it? And would that be like a kind of a bone of contention? Would that be that, it's being kind of lumped in, to an identity that really it seems very unique the way that you've described it.
I like to imagine things in my head, like pictures, right? And the way I see it, it's like the trans umbrella and the Two-Spirit umbrella kind of overlap, and there's people that fit with both of those, right? So I think they're very distinct, and also can share space within a person's identity. So I mean, yeah, if they're I don't see Two-Spirit under the trans umbrella, I don't see trans under the Two-Spirit umbrella. It's like they share space in some people. And the way I've been looking at it, it's like, yeah, like trans is like a gender thing, right? But Two-Spirit is that and can be more, or only sexuality for some people, only community role for some people. So like it's different. And I mean, we just talked about how it can be very personal, but I think Two-Spiritedness is inherently like communal or like nation specific. So something I feel like I'm missing personally is like that connection specific to my nation, because we don't necessarily have Mi'kmaq words for Two-Spirit. And I know John, our syllabi, and like the Wabanaki Two-Spirit Alliance have been doing work on language and like what kind of words do we use for ourselves. And so like there's either we've lost it or like we don't have that and it's something else. But yeah, like I think there's like that distinction. It's like connected to culture at the same time. I don't think like you can be trans in any culture, right? And then Two-Spiritedness, it's like specific to Indigenous cultures too, right? So very specific terms.
Yeah, and I can only imagine it makes it really difficult, to your point exactly, that with how much language erasure, I can't say that word, there is with Indigenous languages, that if you don't have like a proper word to use to describe it, like it's hard to really own that and feel that. So I'm definitely intrigued to kind of learn more about the kind of the work that's being done to help kind of shape words to describe that, because my next question here is just kind of like are there any differences or similarities between like Two-Spirit community, or what Two-Spirit means here in Mi'kmaq versus other Indigenous communities across Turtle Island and in Canada and even in the United States?
I think there is similarities. I think that, again, the issue is that there was a lot of erasure, so some people are still like figuring that out. I mean, the term Two-Spirit in the English language, it came from the Anishinaabe term, right? So I think it's like Nish Manitowoc, so like the Two-Spirit in their language. And I mean, there's different words for it in like other cultures. So like I guess like it depends on if you still have that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're in a culture that, like, we live in a world that we're so fixated on labels and having to label who are you, and I love the way that you described it, and I think as advice to, you know, the cisgender community, to the straight community, that, you know, really the importance is to allow people to self-express who they are and really listen, and then you're really only celebrating the individual that way by having to, you know, not trying to force people into these boxes. You have to be this or that. That's kind of the common theme of
Yeah.
what you're expressing here, and I think it's so beautiful, you know.
Yeah, to add to like this conversation, that's something that did come up in our Two Spirit gathering too, about like having lost that in a lot of our nations. And there was different people from different nations at this gathering too, so that was like really nice to have and have those shared conversations, because I mean, some of us were saying like we've even lost what it means to have that role in certain ceremonies. Like there's still this binary in some ceremonies where there's like only like this role for women and this role for men, and then it's like, okay, where do us as Two Spirit like fall in that? And a lot of times they just kind of were like, okay, you go in the middle or like you have a mix of these things. But like I think some people were saying that like that's part of our responsibility, is to bring that back and reawaken certain things. And um I there was a lot of really like spiritually important visions that people were sharing, because they've gone through experiences where they've actually gotten gifted certain like songs, or like they've had visions of ceremonies that we're supposed to do, but like they're like, okay, how do we get that? And like even dances, and we're like, okay, maybe that's something we need to start practicing together in like that safe space that we create, where it's like, okay, this is something that like is coming to us, and it's like we need to bring it to life. And we were talking about it on our drive back home. We're like, I think like it's like a reawakening of those ceremonies we've lost. And even language, like people have had a lot of dreams that like words come to them, and they'd asked elders in their community, and they're like, oh, I've never heard that in so long. It's like old language. So
Wow.
I think not just like Two Spirit specific, it's just like for our nations, right? So I think it's really beautiful to have like to see that in action. It's like it feels like it's like the time where we're coming together to do that and to play that role. And we're talking about like even like deciding together like how to practice Two Spirit roles in community, and or what are the teachings that we have heard. I mean, someone did say that they had an elder talk to them about two-spiritedness and explain it like it was like they were born, when they were born, that I think they said a female spirit and a male spirit kind of commingled and went into one body. And so like there's things like that where it's very specific, right? And I think we're just trying to figure it all out to make sure like we're honoring that, like that reality that a lot of us still don't have exact answers to things, but we feel like we can get them. So
Yeah.
that's where like a lot of our hope comes from.
I
Yeah.
love that, because I remember hearing as well that it was exactly like how you said it, but that it was seen as a gift from the creator to house both spirits in one body. And I just thought that's so beautiful, and a nice way to explain it to. I think we used that language even in explaining to our own child when they were first becoming aware of who they were, and they were so confused. And for them, they kind of said, well, you know, they were quite young, and they said, look, does God make mistakes? Like, why? I just feel like maybe I'm a mistake. And so we took that, what we heard from that being a gift, and shared that with them. And I think, you know, that to me is a much better and more realistic way of looking at it.
Yeah. And I think it's important for people to recognize that like language is power, and being able to like describe the way we're feeling and like the way we identify is so important, because it gives us all that good gender euphoria and stuff that we
Yeah.
need and deserve. But also like English and like the language we use and the culture that we have is so white and colonized and is full of so many barriers to people that we don't even think about, consider, and giving communities the proper space to build that up and come out and say, hey, no, let's unlearn this. Like, unlearning these things is kind of, I think, people's biggest steps, because we've been taught these things for so long. That I'm always so thrilled whenever I hear, like, people coming out with like new language or like new terms and stuff, because like that gives people power and gives people agency over themselves. And it's so many people are like, if it's not in the dictionary, it's not a word. And I'm like, well, there's like 4 dictionaries out there and they all say the different things. So pick which one you want, pick your bias. It's kind of that idea though, that like if it doesn't fit in a box, then it doesn't exist, right? So it's tricky. But I just want to quickly ask you as well, just kind of while we're still on the topic of terminology, but approximately, do you remember how old you were when you first started to hear this terminology, kind of around like two-spirit and such?
Yeah, I was in university. I'm not good with backtracking age.
No, it's all good. I don't want to put the pressure on you, but
I think
just
it was like
pure curiosity.
2017, probably.
Okay.
So what was that, 5 years ago? Yeah, it was like 20.
So
Yeah.
you didn't hear it in school. You didn't hear it when you were younger.
Nope.
Wow. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I barely heard anything about gender and sexuality aside from like cis heteronormativity, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah.
Yeah.
In celebrating language then, and you even mentioned music, but I'll go to books first. But do you have any favorite storybooks or books that celebrate two-spirit identities?
You know what? I don't, because I haven't read any. And it's like, because I've just been adding to my wish list of books, but I just got gifted a book from that gathering, and it was the one by Joshua Whitehead, where it's like the two-spirit and indigiqueer anthology. So I'm really excited to dive into that one. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Okay. Oh, nice. I'll have to look at that.
But Sid mentioned songs. Are you a big song person? Because I would love some recommendations if there's good music.
Yeah, I like songs a lot. I mean, I'm a big fan of Jeremy Dutcher's music right now. And I don't know if you're familiar with Jeremy, but
No, I don't think so.
that's my first recommendation. It's feel good songs for sure.
Where are they from? Are they local or are they?
They're I think they're from, I'm just guessing here. I think it's Tobic, but I think they're from the Willistock Nation. So
Okay.
they're nearby.
Send us a link maybe and we'll put that in the show notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people can
That's my favorite part about editing the podcast afterwards, is I get all the recommendations and you don't have to hear me like aggressively typing names or like butchering names. So I can sit with my little headphones on and listen to music while I edit. So
Yeah.
I hear you talking so beautifully about learning and reclaiming language and sort of what has been lost, and responsibility to regather that and share that information. And what I'm wondering is that celebrated across the community in general with regards to Indigenous peoples, in that in comparatively, sometimes, you hear on the flip side around educating around gender identity and trans identities, there's that, that element of transphobia, and that like, no, I know better than you, I know this, and this hasn't existed. Is there something equivalent there, or is it more everyone feels fairly ingratiated in like wanting to learn and reclaim and gain space back?
I'd say the latter, because that's all I felt in like amongst two-spirit community. But outside, I mean, there's not as much acceptance. There's not as much space, or like, just space given for listening to that. And I think a lot of people get uncomfortable because it's like the unknown for them. So I mean, with two-spirit kin, like that's definitely the thing. It's like we listen to each other and like make space for all our truths, and we're not like, no, that's wrong, or it's more like, oh, that's amazing, like thank you for sharing that, and this is what I heard. And like, so it's nice that we hold each other in that way. I mean, the one thing I will say is like, I where I like the aggressive like corrections is like when people who aren't Indigenous trying to use Two-Spirit as their identity.
Oh, yeah.
Where I'm like, yeah, that deserves aggression.
And just curiosity too, as well, within the Indigenous community, is there any sort of like generational kind of mindsets when it comes to Two-Spirit identity? Because I know you mentioned that there was an elder who mentioned like Two-Spirit. Like, is that kind of common that a lot of elders are more kind of informed and encouraging, or is it kind of scattered on how that goes?
It's scattered for sure. I mean, like the people that I don't know which elder they were talking about specifically, but it's definitely scattered. We actually had a conversation about that with one of the elders that were there. I mean, I don't know if he considers himself an elder yet, but Doma Young, and Doma was talking about even speak to elders about just acceptance of people's identities and like understanding. And the teaching that we got out of that conversation was like don't be afraid to correct elders when it comes to that kind of stuff, because like they don't necessarily know that there is like other truths, like other people's identities to think about. And a lot of that is from like erasure and colonization, so it's like it's not always something to blame them for. And so the teaching is like to make allies out of them, and in turn they'll make allies out of you. A lot of times they'll come in and tap your shoulder and be like, can you like help me with this? It turns into that kind of relationship. And that was from like Doma's experience. So like that's like years of experience like being taught to us. So like I was grateful to hear that, because a lot of times it's like this weird thinking. It's like respect is not ever questioning elders, and it's not necessarily the case. I think because that understanding is so scattered and like they're far and few between that people like understand and include Two-Spirit people, that like it should be encouraged, to be like, no, hey, like you're forgetting about these people that exist.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So there's just like, I'm glad that was brought up.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important. And like, regardless of your age, you can always be held accountable and you can always learn new things. Just because you're older doesn't mean you magically are know all and see all and can do all. I think it's important for the young folks to be able to educate, because we're the future of this, and language can only go so far if younger generations aren't taking that and putting that forward. So,
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity too, so for the Wabanaki Two-Spirit Alliance retreat that you recently went on, who all was present, if you don't mind me asking?
Geez, a lot of people. I think there was like 30 plus people, and all age groups. There was, I think the youngest person was 19 turning 20, and our oldest, like our elder, I think he might have been in his 80s.
Wow.
Yeah, Walter. So like there's a great range of people, and then nation wise, I mean, a lot of us were all new there, obviously, because it's their territory. But there was also people from like Willistok Nation, Anishinaabe, like Cree, Inuk, someone who I forget if they were Passamaquoddy and lived in Penobscot territory or the other way around. I think they're Penobscot. Yeah, there's more. I can't remember all of them, but
Geographically, how far would that go if we were to put it in, provincial terms, just to get kind of an idea of for cis folks listening?
Well, Penobscot, I think they're in Maine, so
Okay.
like they came from there. I mean, Anishinaabe, like a couple of people actually flew out from Vancouver, but I don't think they were from there originally.
Wow.
So yeah, a good
Well, that's
range
fantastic. That's
of
really great.
So, in spirit of connecting communities kind of together, so we're chatting kind of during Mi'kmaq History Month, and can you maybe recommend some ways people can celebrate and learn more about kind of with the intersectionality with the Two-Spirit lens?
I mean, you know what? If you follow the Two Spirit Alliance, they're doing a lot of great work and events, and they're actually partnering with Pride every year for Pride season in Halifax. So, I mean, they're a great resource to reach out to, and they're always looking for allies and like open to educating. That's in our territory, and I mean, there's lots of books. There's lots of people out there. There's Instagram accounts to follow.
So maybe schools could talk a little bit about, they could, weave in, in their celebrations and teaching throughout October and celebrating Mi'kmaq Heritage Month. They could look into, like Two-Spirit culture, or maybe read a book or bring in a speaker or something like that, maybe.
Yeah. And I'm connected to a lot of people. So if anyone's looking for someone to speak to or anything, like I can connect you with with them. And I mean, I was actually gonna say like the other thing is like I was gonna say for the Two Spirit Alliance, like their gathering is usually annually, but one thing that came out of this gathering was we wanted it to be seasonally. So I'm encouraging people to like either if you're part of organization or something like that to donate to them, because we want to have those gatherings more often, and there's not really any spaces like that otherwise. So they're always looking for funding. So that would be a great way to partner with them, and I'm sure like they would appreciate it a lot. I think this year was made possible because IKEA did like that donation with their rainbow bags profits. So like that kind of thing. Like, I'm just
nice.
If you got connections.
Yeah,
I love that. I think IKEA did PFLAG Canada the year prior with their bags, and I know it helped a lot. So if people are interested or corporations interested maybe in helping to support, they would look up like the Wabanaki Two Spirit Alliance. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then connect that way.
Yeah, and then they know people. They have so many partners, and like they're connected to Two Spirit people across Turtle Island all the time. Like that's their work, right? So
And where did you stay then during the event? Like where exactly was it?
It was at Camp Abigut. So it was really close to the bridge. I think we could see it from there. So Camp Abigut. I think it's actually usually a Bible camp, which is kind of funny.
Oh.
And like they put like we walked into the meal hall, and I could see there was like signs behind all the pride flags. It was like God loves you, and I was like,
oh yeah, Jesus is somewhere hanging up there. And, yeah. I was gonna say I always find I've been to a couple like 2S LGBTQ plus camps, and they're usually like Bible camps or like Girl Guides or like Scouts camps. So there's you will always see the weirdest things. Yeah, paraphernalia. Yeah.
And I also learned how to say now it's like Wolastuk. I used to always say the Wolastoquit. When I was like doing a land acknowledgement, I would say the Wolastoquit. And I did actually hit Google at one point for the pronunciation, and they must have given it to me wrong. Google, but Google Translator. But that's a Wolastuk.
They have I might be getting it wrong too, but I think it's Wolastoq, and they have different words for themselves as people, their nation. They're like Wolastoq is the river, so like that's where the name comes, the big river that they live near.
Okay.
Yeah. So I could connect you with someone from there if you need pronunciation and like corrections.
Yeah, we need like I know there's a database right now of nations in Mi'kma'ki, and it has like all of them listed out, but we need like pronunciations with them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like sitting there and I'm like, okay, I know this is not supposed to be pronounced like that, but
well, a good resource is the new one called Mi'kmaq Place Names Atlas, and it's like did you use that? Okay.
Yeah. Did they put pronunciations on there?
Yeah, so there's audio, and you can click on, usually they have a little link to an interview with the elder they spoke to about the place. So it's really
I love that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll have to look that up maybe and put put that into.
Yeah.
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 It's wonderful.
Yeah, I think the one I saw, I don't think it was that website because if there was definitely audio, I would have been sitting there for hours, like listening. I think it was just kind of like a map, and then you could like explore the map and click, but I don't think there were videos with it. But
Oh,
I'm definitely.
It might be the one they updated. So they've been working on that one for years, so it might be updated since then. Yeah.
Sweet. And last but certainly not least, can you tell us a little bit about your design work?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a learning experience because we're like, our original idea was like, let's provide these services specific to our communities, because like we don't have a lot of all new designers and illustrators. We have a lot of artists and crafts people, so there's like that difference. And we felt like we had to fill that kind of gap, but holy moly, that gap is big. And we noticed the need for it like even more after starting, because like there's such a high demand for our services that we have to say no a lot, and like it's hard for us to say no. And so I mean, we're planning to expand and like look to hire and train some in the future, so like that's part of our goal, like our dreams as a business. But yeah, I mean, we incorporate a lot. I mean, obviously if it's specific to our communities, we're incorporating like cultural and traditional knowledge a lot of the time. And if it's usually like the content is related to our culture, so we had to make sure it's like appropriate. We do draw a lot from our lived experience, but also like from our connections in community. And funnily enough, like, I mean, that's how we get our business. Like, we haven't ever advertised on purpose, because there's so much good word of mouth connections. And we're kind of scared, because it's like, if we put our name out there too much, we're gonna get too many more people. Like it's like a blessing and a curse. Is that what it's? Yeah.
A blessing and a curse. Yeah.
Yeah. So
would your illustrations go into like magazines or books, or like who, just to get an idea of where they would be going?
Oh, well, everywhere. So I mean, like a lot of ours gone to like websites. We've done book covers, we've done like posters for social media. I'm blanking a little bit.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
A wide range though. That's really awesome.
Yeah. And that's just illustrations. And then we do designs. And we also started doing graphic recordings. And that's like, those are also in high demand. But yeah.
What's a graphic recording?
That's like when you're at an event and there's someone like with a big piece of paper just drawing live, and they're doing like a summary.
Oh, I love those. They're so cool. I do not know how you were able to do that, because I watched someone do it once and I was like, they're flying. Like I was like, oh my goodness, it would take me 3 hours to do that, and everyone would be gone.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of do that still, because like we struggle with trying to boil down the conversations. A lot of the places we go to, like, we're like, that's important, and that's important, and then so it's like we also sometimes stay afterwards to finish those up, because it's like, yeah, we don't want to miss anything important. But
And you said it's you and your sibling that co-own it, or?
Yeah, my older sister Kaylin. Yeah.
It's so interesting. And so when you do, why did I blank out on the word?
Graphic recording.
Thank you. Do you both do it together at the same time? Are you sharing the same canvas, or are you separate canvases? Like, how does that?
Yeah, we usually divide it together to work on at the same time. Sometimes one of us is the note taker and the other one drawing. And sometimes we're both drawing at the same time. Like sometimes we'll be like, I'll do the titles, you can do the little like people or something. So yeah, we usually work together. We're gonna try to do it a couple events this year alone, because either one of us is busy. But yeah, it sounds daunting.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say it'd be maybe slightly easier, but then again, if you like disagree on something, then it's like
it should look like this. No.
Yeah.
Why'd you draw that? No.
Yeah, we have a lot of practice working together, so that helps.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Kassidy. It's been such a pleasure talking to you, and I always love learning, about new culture and expanding. And really, it's been hard for me to find local answers, I'm not knowing sort of where to ask those questions to. So it's really great to be connected with you.
Yeah, I really appreciate bringing me on, and I mean, I'm happy to come back anytime.
Yeah, we will definitely take you up on that offer, and we'll also include in the show notes a link to your website. And if you want to send along any music recommendations, we are more than happy to pop those in there as well. I'm more for me specifically because I definitely try to get more music on my roster. So
Awesome. I will do that.
sweet. Thank you so much, Cassidy, and you have a great one, and we'll definitely be chatting.
All right. Well, Alan.
We'll all.
Well, Alan, that's all the time we have today, folks. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Hey Sis.
The conversation doesn't have to stop here, though. If you would like to get in touch with us to ask us a question or share your story on a future episode, you can email us at connect@simplygoodform.com or visit us on our website at www.heysis.com.